I saw you, child, when you didn't think anyone did. When the pain was too heavy to name, I named it. I whispered your name, even when you cursed mine. You thought you were dying. Not just dying in body, but in spirit, in hope, in the part of you that once dreamed of better days. That silence you heard, that wasn't me gone. That was me holding my breath with you as your world crumbled beneath the weight of betrayal. I watched as they left. I heard the slam of the door. I saw the texts that never got replied to. I felt the moment you stopped. Praying, not because you didn't believe anymore, but because you didn't think I'd answer. But I did. I always did. You just couldn't hear it over the screaming of your scars. And when you said, "God, where are you?" I whispered, "I'm right here, under the rubble with you. Not above, not beyond, not far, but in it. In the fire, in the grief, in the silence. Because you needed more than a miracle. You needed a companion, a healer who doesn't just erase the pain, but redeems it. So here I am, not to shame your brokenness, but to rebuild it. To gather every shattered piece, not to discard, but to make art out of it. Do you know what I see when I look at your wounds? I see the doorway I'll walk through to reach you. I see the altar where your pain meets my mercy. I see the soil where your sorrow will bloom into something eternal. So no, this is not the end. This is the space between your Good Friday and your Resurrection Sunday. You may still be bleeding, but I have already started the healing after the pain comes. Redemption and child, I have not forgotten a single tear. They are written in my book, woven into your future, planted into your purpose. So rise. Not because the pain is gone, but because I am with you in it. Asterisk, you asked me why I was silent, why the heavens felt shut, and your prayers hung unanswered, like letters never opened. But child, silence does not mean absence. Silence is where I speak the loudest, just not in the way you're used to. Do you remember the moment you sat in your room? Lights off, phone face down, and the world outside just kept going, and you asked, "God, do you even hear me?" I heard you. I heard the words you didn't say, the ache behind your silence, the tremble behind your breath. You thought silence meant I'd left. No, it meant I was drawing nearer, stepping so close that even my whispers would be deafening. I wasn't ignoring you. I was incubating something in you. Because some truths can only be heard when everything else goes quiet. You were in the cocoon, not the coffin, you said. "God, speak." And I answered, "I am," in the waiting, in the stillness, in the pause between heartbreak and healing. Remember, this, the silence of God, is not the punishment of God. It's the preparation of God. The storm doesn't speak when it's about to end. It just stops. And in that stillness, life returns. You thought you were abandoned, but really, you were being remade in secret. Not for survival, but for resurrection. Let me tell you what silence really is. It's the hush before the curtain rises, the breath before the miracle, the space where pain and purpose meet and shake hands in the dark. So don't fear the quiet anymore. That ache you feel when everything goes still, that's me rebuilding you from the inside out. You may not hear my voice, but my silence, it roars. Asterisk, there was a moment, and I remember it well, when your lips no longer formed my name. It didn't happen all at once. First it was a whisper that didn't leave your throat. Then it became a prayer interrupted by your own doubt. And eventually, silence. Not because you hated me, but because you were too tired to hope again. I remember that night. You sat in the dark, your back to the wall, your hands gripping your chest like it might keep your heart from breaking. You didn't cry out, not this time. You just sat there, quiet, wounded, gone, and I sat with you. I wasn't waiting for you to speak. I was listening to your silence, because even that held your pain. And I understood. You say nothing at all, yet still breathe. I saw you breathing. I saw you waking up, even when you didn't want to. That too was faith. And I never required more than that. Even when you turned your face from me, I never turned mine from you. When your fingers grew cold on the Bible you no longer opened, I wrapped my warmth around your spirit. When you cursed me under your breath, I covered your mouth with mercy. And when you stopped calling my name, I wrote yours in the wind, in the moonlight, in the space between each beat of your breaking heart. You see, my love is not a transaction. It does not waver with your devotion. It does not shrink when yours. Does it stands when you collapse? It waits when you run. It holds when you pull away. Do you remember the dreams you buried? I do. I tended them like a gardener under moonlight. I watered them with your tears. I sang over them with my voice, the one you forgot how to hear. And now they stir, not because you came back to me, but because I never left you. Even when you didn't want me, I know what they said. I heard what they did. I saw what you lost. And I also know how heavy it became to believe in me. But can I tell you something, child? Faith is not a song you sing. It's the choice to breathe again after you've collapsed. You were never disqualified. Not by your questions, not by your rebellion, not by your silence, not even by your sin. One day, you'll call my name again. Not because you're forced to, not out of guilt, but because you'll remember, I was the only one who never left. And even now, even here, I am whispering, my child, my child, my child. You think you're too far gone, too far fallen, too far from the version of you that once believed. But listen to me carefully. There is no too far for a God who walks through fire. I would crawl through your shame. I would weep with your fears. I would descend into every hell you think you're trapped in, just to bring you back. And I have. You are not lost. You are being carried. When you stopped calling my name, I started singing yours. Not because I needed to hear it, but because you needed to remember who you are. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are not your silence. You are mine, still, always, forever. So today, if your lips can't move, don't force them. Let me speak for you. Let my spirit breathe where your words fail. Let my grace stand in your place. I never asked you to be strong enough. I only asked you to let me carry you, even when you stopped calling my name. I never stopped whispering yours. Asterisk, you stood in the ruins of what used to be your life, and you whispered to yourself, it's all gone. Gone, the innocence, the joy, the dreams that once made your eyes light up. You tried to gather the broken pieces, but they crumbled in your hands like ash. You didn't even cry, you just stared at the pile, at the silence, at the smoke, and somewhere deep inside, a voice said, even this is too far gone for God. But that voice wasn't mine, because I remember the ashes. Ashes don't scare me. I've worked with them before. I made beauty from dust, life from breath, light from darkness. Ashes are not the end. They're the beginning of resurrection. You see only what's burned. I see what's still smoldering. The faint glow, the last ember. It is enough for me. You forgot this. I am not only the God of creation. I am the God of recreation. Let me speak to your ruins. Let me kneel in the ashes beside you, not to condemn, not to lecture, but to weep. With you, for you, and then to whisper, it's not over. Remember the temple that burned. I rebuilt it. Remember the exile. I brought them home. Remember the cross. I rolled the stone away. Fire never has the last word. I do, you say, but I destroyed it all, God, with my choices, my sin, my shame. And I say, even the fire obeys me. Even your ashes still belong to me. Child, you don't have to rise yet. You just have to believe that ashes aren't the end. You just have to sit here and let me hold the pieces. Let me gather what's left. Let me breathe on what's dry. Let me whisper over your dust, live again. For they may look at your life and only see smoke. They may write you off as burned out, ruined, done. But I see sacred soil. Ashes are soft ground, perfect for planting something new. And I am not done planting in you. Don't rush the rising. Healing takes time, and sometimes the holiest place is the one still smoldering, because I am there in the heat, in the soot, in the space between the last flame and the first flower. You don't need to bring me a masterpiece. Just bring me your ashes. I'll do the rest. So when they ask, where is your God now? You can point to the dust and say, He is here, in this, in me. Because even the ashes carry my name. Even the things you thought were lost are remembered in heaven. Even what was burned can still bloom. You keep hiding your scars, tucking them behind smiles, beneath sleeves, under laughter that doesn't reach your eyes. You think they make you less holy, less worthy, less lovable, but I never asked for perfection. I asked for honesty, and scars are the most honest part of you. Scars say, I've been through it. They say, I fell, but I didn't stay down. They say, I bled, but I healed. And child, that makes you holy ground. You thought the scars disqualified you, that they were reminders of failure. But in my eyes, they are badges of survival. Even my son wears scars. They were not erased after resurrection. They were highlighted, because scars do not shame, they testify. You are not less spiritual because you are wounded. You are closer to me because of it. Don't you see? The wound is where my spirit entered. The crack is where the light broke through. The bleeding is where you stopped hiding. And the scar, that's where you and I touched. Let me ask you this. Where do you go when you feel weak? To the strong, or to the one who understands pain? Do you look for answers in unscarred hands, or do you trust the ones who carry wounds like your own? Now, child, do you see why I chose you? You thought I needed someone polished, but I chose someone real. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you've endured. You are a story written in scar tissue, and every line still sings of grace. When others see your scars, they might wince, they might question, they might judge. But I see sacred places, altars of survival, markers of miracles. Scars aren't proof that you're broken. They're proof that you were once broken and still got up. They mean the pain stopped bleeding and healing took over. They mean you didn't die there, so don't erase them, don't hide them, don't silence them. Let them speak. Let them become windows into my mercy. Child, if you only knew how I kiss every scar, how I honor every tear, how I place my hand right on the part you try hardest to hide, because that's the place where you're most real, and I only dwell in the real. You're not just surviving anymore, you're becoming someone sacred, not in spite of the scars, because of them. Asterisk, I remember that day, the one you thought no one would remember. The room was quiet, too quiet. The curtains were closed, your phone had been off for hours, and the world outside kept spinning without you. You laid on your side, face to the wall, facing nothing, just surviving. No words, no tears, not even prayer, and you thought, no one knows I'm here. No one would care if I wasn't, but I was already there. I didn't knock, I didn't shout, I just sat in the quiet with you. I saw the light leave your eyes that morning, not because you wanted to die, but because you didn't know how to keep living, and I didn't leave. You think I need loud prayers and open Bibles to show up? No. Sometimes my favorite places to sit are the rooms no one else enters. That room, that moment, that breathless silence was holy ground to me, because you were there. You think I missed it? The way you curled into yourself when anxiety took over, the way your heart broke when no one noticed your pain, the way your body felt heavy for no reason. I didn't miss it. I felt it with you, for you, in you. You didn't feel me because you thought you needed to reach up. But that day, I was already beneath you, catching the fall you didn't have words for. Do you know what I did in that room? I wept not because you failed, but because I love you that much. I wept because you believed the lie that you were alone. I wept because your light was still so beautiful, even when you couldn't see it. I wept because, even in your silence, your soul was screaming and I heard every word. I didn't come to fix you, I came to be with you. You didn't need to climb up to me, you just needed to fall and let me fall with you. And now, even as you leave that room, even as you try to put pieces back together, even as you smile again, laugh again, work again, please know, I still remember that day. I still sit in that room in case you ever return, and I keep the light on just in case you forget that you're welcome there. With me, always. Asterisk, the moment you fell that night, you collapsed on your bathroom floor, silent scream stuck in your throat, wondering if anyone would ever come looking for you. You called it your breaking point, but I called it our meeting point. You saw a version of yourself you hated. I saw a child finally too tired to keep pretending, and that's the one I was waiting for, because I never fell in love with the mask. I've always loved the soul. Beneath the language of ruin, the world taught you to hide your scars, to polish your stories, to only bring me the clean parts of your life. But child, I speak fluent ruin. I understand the dialect of despair. I write poetry in the language of collapse. Where others see garbage, I see fragments of glory. Where you see dead ends, I see doorways unbuilt. I am the one who crawls into your wreckage and chooses to stay. You are never a lost, 'cause you keep replaying the moments you should have done better. The one decision that wrecked everything. The relationships you couldn't save. The dreams you buried without a funeral. But hear me, you were never too far gone. You weren't disqualified by your detour. Your despair didn't scare me. Your silence didn't offend me. Your addiction didn't disqualify you. Your apathy didn't drive me away. In fact, the darker it got, the closer I came. I sat with you in the dark. Remember that night you didn't want to be alive anymore. You didn't call anyone. You just stared at the ceiling and wondered if your breath still mattered. You didn't know it then, but I was right there, sitting on the edge of your bed, not rushing, not judging, just being near, just waiting until you could feel again, until you let the light back in, because I never abandoned you. Even when you abandoned yourself, the sacredness of what shattered, you looked at your life and saw 1,000 broken pieces, unfixable, unspeakable. But let me tell you a secret. I specialize in mosaics. I don't throw broken pieces away. I collect them. I kiss them. I place them in patterns only heaven understands. And when I'm done, the cracks will catch the light in ways you never imagined. What you called too broken, I call a masterpiece in the making. I'm not in a hurry to fix you, the world rushes to slap bandages on bleeding wounds. But I am not in a rush. I don't just want to patch you up. I want to sit in the ashes with you until you know you are loved, not in spite of the ruin, but right inside of it. I want to rebuild you, not just so you're strong, but so you're whole, so you know your worth was never in your performance, but in your existence. The power of still being here. You think you've failed. You're still breathing. That is not failure. That is victory dressed in silence. Every day you chose to keep going when quitting felt easier. That was courage. Every prayer you whispered when you weren't sure anyone was listening, I heard it. Every time you got up again, even shakily, even bitterly, I was cheering louder than the angels. What others forgot, I remember. People may forget your pain. They may overlook your effort. They may label your story with one word, ruined. But I remember every detail. Every tear that hit the floor. Every time you held your tongue to protect someone else's heart. Every ounce of love you gave, even when yours was running dry. And I will restore you, not just to who you were, but to who I've always seen. You becoming the redeeming of your story. Nothing is wasted with me. Not the trauma, not the loss, not the time, not even the sin. I redeem all of it. I turn graves into gardens. I take what the enemy meant to destroy you and build cathedrals of grace from it. You thought this was the end. Child, this is the foundation. From ruin to glory, so the next time you look in the mirror and see only ruins, I want you to remember something. I do my best work in places no one else wants to enter. I write my most beautiful chapters in books that others threw away, and I plant my deepest glory in the soil of ruin. You are not a mistake. You are holy ground. I have never stopped walking on. Final whisper, what you called ruin, I have always called sacred.